You are 24 years old. You make $10 an hour folding boxes at the Apple Store on 5th Avenue. You have worked here for 2 years. Nobody knows your name except your name tag. This morning, your manager called you into the back office. Your first thought was not excitement. Your first thought was, "I'm fired." You pushed the door open. There was a woman sitting across from your manager. You had never seen her before. She slid a folder across the table. You opened it. And the words on the first page rearranged something permanent inside you. This is the story of what happened next. Part 1: The Life Before. Your name is Daniel Rivera. You are the son of a Mexican immigrant who came to New York with $200 and a phone number for a cousin he had never met. Your father spent 22 years building other people's houses. Drywall, plumbing, roofing, whatever the job required. He never owned anything he built. You grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in the Bronx with your parents and your younger sister. The apartment was small enough that privacy was a concept you read about in books but never experienced personally. Your mother worked the front desk at a dental office. Between them, your parents made $54,000 a year. You learned early that $54,000 sounds like enough until you subtract rent and food and your sister's asthma medication, and the subway cards and the phone bill and the debt from the year your father's back gave out and he couldn't work for 4 months. Then $54,000 becomes a number you are constantly running toward and never reaching. You were good at 2 things in school: drawing and technology. Not good enough at either to get a scholarship, good enough at both to get a job at the Apple Store on 5th Avenue at 22 years old. $10 an hour, full-time, benefits after 90 days. Your father shook your hand when you got the job. Not hugged, shook. The handshake of a man who understands what steady employment means. You took the subway to 5th Avenue on your first day and stood outside the store for 3 minutes before walking in. The building looked like a spaceship that had landed perfectly and decided to stay. Glass walls, clean light, everything exactly where it should be. You had been inside Apple stores before, but walking in as an employee felt different. Like being let behind a curtain you had always watched from the other side. You folded your first box at 9:23 a.m. on a Tuesday. You told yourself it was temporary. 2 years later you are still folding boxes, still $10 an hour, still temporary. Until this morning. Part 2: The Folder. The woman's name is Catherine Walsh. She is the Global Talent Director for Apple's Brand and Marketing Division. She has flown in from Cupertino specifically for this meeting. You don't know any of this yet. When you sit down, you still think you are being fired. She opens the folder herself and turns it toward you. The first page has your photograph on it. Not a photograph you took, a photograph someone took of you. 3 weeks ago, standing at the Genius Bar, helping an elderly woman with her iPad, you are leaning forward slightly, patient, focused. The light from the display is catching the left side of your face. You look like someone who belongs in that light. Below the photograph is a report: 6 months of observation, customer satisfaction scores, interaction analytics, social media mentions from customers who photographed you helping them and posted about the experience without knowing your name. One post has 340,000 likes. The caption reads, "This guy at the Apple Store spent 45 minutes helping my 80-year-old mother understand her new iPhone, didn't rush her once, didn't make her feel stupid once. This is what service looks like." You never saw that post. You were just doing your job. Catherine Walsh closes the folder. She looks at you. She says, "Apple is launching its largest global campaign in company history next spring. We need a face, not a celebrity, not a model, someone real, someone who actually believes in what we make and what it does for people. We've been looking for 8 months. We found you 3 weeks ago." She slides a second document across the table, a contract. 1 year, global ambassador, product launches, campaigns, events, spokesperson for Apple's accessibility and community initiatives. The number at the bottom of the contract is more than your father made in the last 11 years combined. You read it 3 times, then you look at your name tag, then back at the number. Catherine Walsh says, "We need an answer by Friday." You nod, you stand up, you shake her hand, you walk back onto the floor. You fold a box. Your hands are shaking. Part 3. The yes. You call your father from the break room at lunch. You don't tell him the number, you just tell him what the job is. He is quiet for a long time. Then he says the Apple people. You say yes. He is quiet again, then he says, your grandfather came to this country with nothing. I came with $200, you came with whatever God put in you, say yes. You hang up. The night before you sign the contract, you sit at the kitchen table in the Bronx apartment. You think about every person who has ever been chosen for something this big and been destroyed by it. You think about whether you are the kind of person who survives what is coming. You sit with that question for a long time. You don't answer it. You sign anyway. Because the alternative is folding boxes for the rest of your life and wondering. And wondering is the only thing you are genuinely afraid of. You go back to Catherine Walsh's office the next morning. You sign the contract on a Wednesday afternoon at 2:17 p.m. The same time you usually spend answering questions about iCloud storage. Part 4. The transformation. Week 1. The briefing. You fly to Cupertino for the first time, business class. You have never flown business class, the seat reclines into a bed. You don't sleep. You spend the entire flight looking out the window at the dark sky thinking about your father laying drywall in other people's houses. Apple headquarters is exactly what you imagined and nothing like what you imagined simultaneously. The campus is a perfect circle, 1 mile around, glass and steel and the specific silence of a place where people are paid to think at the highest level. You are given a badge, your photograph, your name, your title. Global Brand Ambassador. You stand in the elevator holding the badge. You are wearing the same jacket you wore to your Apple Store interview 2 years ago. Nobody notices. Week 3 of the shoot. Your first campaign shoot is in a studio in Los Angeles. 40 people working to make you look like you are not being photographed by 40 people. A stylist, a lighting director, a creative director, a director of photography, brand managers, legal, PR. They dress you in clothes that cost more than 6 months of your Apple Store salary. They position you in front of the new iPhone. The creative director says, just be yourself, that's why you're here. You think about folding boxes, you think about the elderly woman with the iPad, you think about the photograph taken without your knowledge that somehow changed everything. You are yourself. The shoot takes 8 hours. At the end, the creative director looks at the monitor for a long time. Then he says, that's it, that's the campaign. Month 2, the launch. Your face appears on a billboard in Times Square. You find out from your sister who texts you a photograph at 7:43 in the morning. You are on the subway when you get the text. You look at your phone. Then you look up at the other passengers. Nobody knows it is you. You are still nobody on the subway, you are 40 feet tall 2 miles away. The cognitive dissonance is so complete you almost laugh out loud. Your face appears on billboards in London, Tokyo, Sydney, Sao Paulo, Lagos. The campaign generates 2.3 billion impressions in the first week. You gain 1.4 million Instagram followers in 72 hours. People on the internet are writing articles about you. Who is Daniel Rivera? Where did he come from? How did Apple find him? You read every article, none of them get it right. Because none of them know about the $10 an hour. None of them know about the boxes. None of them know about your father's handshake. Month 4, the events. You speak at Apple's Accessibility Initiative launch in San Francisco. 800 people in the audience, you stand at the podium and look out at the room. Every face turned toward you, waiting. You think about your mother at the dental office front desk. You think about your sister's asthma medication. You think about $54,000 a year and what it subtracts down to. You open your mouth, you speak for 12 minutes, you don't use notes. You get a standing ovation. Afterwards, a woman finds you in the corridor, she is crying. She says her son has a disability, and the accessibility features you talked about changed his life. She says, thank you for making him feel seen. You shake her hand, you think about the elderly woman with the iPad, you think about 340,000 likes. You think about how the biggest moments of your life have all started with someone feeling seen. Month 6, the new life. You move your parents out of the Bronx apartment. You don't tell them where you are taking them. You drive them to a house in Westchester, 3 bedrooms, a garden, a driveway. Your father walks through every room without speaking. He stands in the garden for a long time. Then he turns to you. His eyes are doing something you have never seen them do before. You have seen your father afraid, you have seen him tired, you have seen him angry and proud and broken and determined. You have never seen him undone. He puts his hand on your shoulder. You notice his hands. They are the hands of a man who has laid drywall for 22 years, rough, scarred, permanent, but in this garden they are the softest thing you have ever felt, softer than you remember. He doesn't speak, he doesn't have to. Month 9, the cost. Fame has a weight nobody warns you about. You cannot go to the Apple store on 5th Avenue anymore. Not because you don't want to. Because the last time you went, 3 people asked to take photographs with you and a crowd formed, and your former colleagues looked at you with an expression that was not quite pride and not quite resentment, and was something uncomfortable in between. You miss folding boxes. Not the poverty of it, the simplicity of it, the clarity of a task that begins and ends and requires nothing from you except your hands. Your new life requires everything from you, every day, every hour, every version of yourself simultaneously. The brand version, the public version, the sun version, the version that gives interviews and speaks at events and smiles for photographs. Somewhere underneath all of those versions is a 24-year-old kid from the Bronx who makes $10 an hour. You try to find him sometimes, he gets harder to locate. Part 5, the peak. Apple renews your contract. 2 years, double the original fee. You are flown to Cupertino for the signing. Tim Cook shakes your hand personally. He says, "You changed how people see this company, not the campaigns, not the billboards, the story, your story, that's what people connected to." You sit in a glass room at the center of the most valuable company on earth. Your badge says Global Brand Ambassador. Your bank account has a number in it that your father will never fully comprehend. Your face is on billboards on every continent. You are 26 years old, you are nobody from the Bronx, you are the face of a $3 trillion brand. Both of those things are equally true, both of those things live inside you simultaneously. You sign the contract, you look out at the perfect circular campus. And you feel something you have been trying to identify for 9 months. You finally have the word for it. Belonging. For the first time in your life, in this building you were never supposed to enter, you feel like you belong. You close your eyes. Part 6, the moment before. You are in your office at Apple headquarters. It is late, everyone else has gone home, the campus is quiet. The lights of Silicon Valley spread out below you like a second sky. You are looking at a photograph on your desk. Your father in the garden of the Westchester house. His hand on your shoulder. His eyes undone. You look at it for a long time. You think about the folder, the photograph someone took without your knowledge, the post with 340,000 likes, the elderly woman with the iPad, the chain of invisible moments that connected a $10 an hour box folder to this office. You think, if I could go back and tell the version of me folding boxes what was coming, would he believe me? You smile. You lean back in your chair, you close your eyes. You feel the specific piece of a man who made it from somewhere real to somewhere impossible. The lights of Silicon Valley blur behind your eyelids. The silence deepens. And then, Part 7, the alarm. 6:00 a.m. The alarm. You open your eyes. You are in the Bronx. 2-bedroom apartment. The ceiling you have stared at your entire life directly above you. Your sister's alarm going off in the next room. Your mother's voice calling from the kitchen. You lie completely still. You look at the ceiling. The office is gone. The campus is gone. The garden in Westchester is gone. Your father's undone eyes are gone. The billboard in Times Square. The standing ovation. Tim Cook's handshake. Gone. All of it. Gone. You reach for your phone. 6:02 a.m., Tuesday. You have a shift at the Apple store on 5th Avenue at 9:00 a.m. $10 an hour, boxes to fold, questions about iCloud storage. You lie there for a long time. The dream was so complete, so detailed, so real. The weight of the contract in your hands, the light in the campaign photograph, your father in the garden. You felt belonging for the first time in your life, in a dream. Your eyes are wet. You didn't realize until now. You sit up, you put your feet on the floor. You look at your hands. The same hands that folded boxes yesterday. The same hands that in the dream held a contract worth more than your father made in 11 years. The same hands. And then something shifts. Not sadness. Something harder than sadness, something with direction. Part 8, the decision. You get up, you shower, you eat breakfast with your mother. You take the subway to 5th Avenue. You stand outside the Apple store for 3 minutes before walking in. The same 3 minutes you stood outside on your first day. The building looks like a spaceship that landed perfectly and decided to stay. You walk in, you put on your name tag, you fold your first box of the day. But something is different, your eyes are different. Because the dream showed you something that no job application or motivational speech or self-help book ever could. It showed you the specific version of your life that is possible. Not in abstract, not in theory. In detail. The folder, the contract, the campaign, the house in Westchester, your father's eyes. You know what it looks like now, you know what it feels like. And you know something else. You know that the dream started with something real. An elderly woman with an iPad, a photograph taken without your knowledge, a post with 340,000 likes. You didn't manufacture that, you were just being yourself. And being yourself was enough to make someone stop, to make someone pay attention, to make someone slide a folder across a table. That part wasn't a dream, that part happened. You fold another box. You look up. An elderly man is struggling with the display iPad near the entrance. You walk toward him. You lean forward. Patient, focused. You don't know who is watching. You never know who is watching. That is the point. The dream was not a fantasy. The dream was a map, showing you the exact territory between where you are and where you could be. Most people dream and wake up and mourn what isn't real. The ones who change their lives dream and wake up and ask a different question. Not, why isn't this real? But, what would I have to become for this to be real? Daniel Rivera folds boxes at $10 an hour on 5th Avenue. He is nobody, his name tag is the only proof he exists in that building. But he knows something now that he didn't know yesterday. He knows what the folder looks like, he knows what the contract feels like, he knows what his father's eyes look like when they are undone by something impossible becoming real. And he knows that somewhere in this building right now, someone is watching. Not because he is performing. Because he is real. And real in a world full of performance is the rarest thing on earth. He folds another box. He helps another person. He does his job like it is the most important job in the world. Because for him right now it is. The folder is coming. He just doesn't know when.